Hi guys, welcome to this video. Today I am actually going to show you how to use some of the library guides at TMCC. On the module you'll see a link, and the link will show you exactly what or where you're going to go. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to walk you through it just like I would if I was in class. So you can open up another browser and click on the link that's in the modules if you want. It's called let's see what I named that. I named that library guide argument. So go ahead and open up that link. And as you watch this video, you can kind of maybe keep your screens side by side and see if you can walk through as I walk through. All right, so we're going to share our screen here. And what you should see now is this library guide. So you'll see it's TMCC Library Guide. Our great librarians put this together for you guys. And what we have here is we have some resources for writing an argument paper. Now, argument requires that you use evidence, that you actually research. You have to go out and find information to back you up. Oftentimes, when we're talking with friends, we're talking with family, and we're having an argument or a debate, we just kind of use our own ideas and things that we've heard. But when we're writing a formal paper, we always want to actually use evidence when we can. So you'll see here on this library guide that there's these tabs, and the tabs have CQ Researcher, Issues and Controversies, EBSCO, JSTOR, Video of Database Applications, and Database Assessment Quiz. So this is actually all of the resources that you can use. Now, of course, if you have, if you've come across an article that you want to look at, or you have your own resources, that's great. But this is where these ones right here, so the CQ Researcher, Issues and Controversies, EBSCO, JSTOR, these are called databases. And what databases are is a collection, it's kind of like an electronic library of articles, and those can come from newspapers, those could come from other periodicals, they could come from academic journals, or they can just be like Issues and Controversies, compiled information sheets with statistics and information already prepared for you. So databases are a great way to research. And the nice thing about databases is you can actually use them to find peer-reviewed research and really reputable good research. They're much easier than just Googling something. I know that's what a lot of times we default to, but if you just Google something, you will get advertisements. You might get taken to websites that aren't necessarily reputable websites. They might not be websites that are fact-checked. And you also have to be careful with third-party websites. Unless it's got a .edu, .gov, etc., you may not be able to trust it. .orgs are normally pretty trustable, but if it's got a .com, .net, even sometimes .org, you can't necessarily guarantee who has been putting out the information. For example, let's say you wanted to do an argumentative paper on gun violence, and so you went to Google and you searched the keywords gun violence, and the first website that came up looked really good. Well, if that website was sponsored by a group that was pro-gun rights, they might skew the statistics or provide you only with limited information, because their agenda is to ensure that people have the right to bear arms. And so they don't want anything that makes gun ownership look like a negative thing. The same thing would happen if you Google that and you got to a website that maybe was for gun control. They might skew things because they would make things maybe look worse than they actually are if they could, so that they could really convince people that guns were a problem and needed to be dealt with. So it goes both ways. Both sides, any side of any issue has the potential of skewing information. So you have to be really careful. When you look at these kinds of databases, again, CQ Researcher, Issues and Controversies, EBSCO, and JSTOR, you are less likely to get something that has been that has a lot of bias. Okay, so let's just kind of take a look at the information here. On this home tab, it tells you a little bit about argumentative paper. So basically, what you're going to do is you are going to have to choose a topic first. Okay, once you choose a topic, that's when you want to start researching. Now, you may not come up with your thesis or your argument yet, but having at least a general topic is a great place to start. Okay, some topics I've had students write about in the past are things as simple as what's better, cats or dogs. I had a student write a really great analysis, an argument paper about why dogs, in his opinion, were better than cats because they worked, they had a lot of functions, they were better companions. He had a whole list of reasons. Now, you might not agree with that, but the point of this paper is to present your opinion and then provide some evidence and support to validate that opinion. So you might use, again, any of these, the CQ research and issues and controversies. And these ones are databases that serve as kind of an introduction. So if you're really not sure what your topic is, these might be a great place to start. You can actually click on these and just kind of try to get a few ideas. Or if you don't know much about a topic, you could look at them and see if you had any good ideas. So let's take issues and controversies. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I just want you to see what you have here. So if you look in here, we've got just they have some ideas here, electoral college. So you can see here we've got, that's one idea that you might think of. Oh, electoral college. Should the United States continue to use the electoral college in presidential elections? And you'll see a few different articles. These ones are encyclopedia, so they're going to give you more information, right? This one right here looks like it's Spotlight, so it's probably going to give you more more than just the definition. And this is obviously something that's geared towards giving you facts and opinions. So as we kind of come down, you can see that there's this electoral college information here. Now, if I actually want to get to the full database, all I have to do is click this hyperlink right here. I'm going to log in, since you're home at your home computer, you're going to log in using the same login that you used for Canvas. So my username is Ingross, and my password, I'm going to go ahead and enter that in. Enter the wrong one, sorry, I just changed it, that's why I entered the wrong one. But here's what issues and controversies look like. So if you're not familiar with issues and controversies, if you're not familiar with a topic or you haven't selected a topic, you can just kind of look at all issues by subject. I think family, teenagers, and community sounds really interesting. What kind of subtopics are on here? Oh, bullying, that's a really interesting topic. Let's click on that. So now we have pro-con articles, okay? So we have transgender athletes, hate crime laws, cyberbullying, and you'll notice that each one of these have supporters argue, opponents argue. So you'll be able to see what both sides of the issue are. So again, issues and controversies is what I would really recommend to go and just start your ideas, start your thinking process, brainstorm for some ideas. All right, so let's go back to our library guides. Once I have a topic, so let's say that I decided, oh, I really think that teens on television is a really interesting topic. I think that teens on television, my argumentative statement is that teens on television has caused other teens to have self-esteem issues because of the unrealistic expectations they set. All right, I just made that up off the top of my head, but that's a good argument, I think. So then we can go to EBSCO. Again, I'm going to go to my tab here, EBSCO. I don't have to, let's see what it's doing here. It shouldn't make me log in again because I'm still in the same browser and I just logged in, but if it does, same information. You don't just want to Google EBSCO because it'll take you to the main EBSCO. You want to go in through TMCC for all these databases because it takes you to a special little port login for your TMCC login information. If you just try to like Google issues and controversies, it's that your login won't work. So make sure you go in through TMCC's library page. All right, so here's what EBSCO looks like. I've got Academic Search Premier, Academic Search Main Edition, Main File. So I'm just going to leave what you can choose different topics. So like, let's say you're taking a political science class and you really want to look at political science articles, you could check this. So you can kind of go through and you can check what you want. ERIC is a lot of stuff about education, literature, and research. So if you were, let's say you want to be a teacher, you'll end up using ERIC a lot in your academic career. Then there's psych articles, psychology and behavioral. So you can kind of choose what you want. For general purposes, normally what they kind of default to, which is these first three options, that's perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit continue. but I did want to show you the other options for other classes, because other classes you're going to have different needs. Okay, so I'm going to, if we look back at my topic, we decided was teens and reality TV. Let's just start with that and see what we get. Oh, is reality TV messing with your head? Zoe and Norman caution teen son Woody on perils of reality TV. New reality TV show, Teen Mom Australia to screen. So you can see I have a lot of different options here. Sorry, my dogs are barking. If you can hear in the background, I apologize. So I could actually go over here to the source types, and I can select trade publications, academic journals. I can select what kind of stuff I want, or I can leave it checked for all. I can actually change my publication date. Sometimes your instructor might say, hey, make sure that your sources are no more than 7 years old. So I could change my, or 6 years old, I can change my publication dates. I can also, I could say limit to full text. So I want only stuff that has full text. I can also check this lovely box here that says scholarly peer reviewed. So it's only going to give me peer reviewed articles. Okay. And now you see that I really only have one thing if I need peer review. So I might zoom my focus out a little bit and just say teens and TV. And now we are back to several options, okay? Now I can expand my publication date out, but I don't really need to at this point because I think I have enough options here that I could kind of start looking through it. Oh, look, a qualitative examination of how media messages are perceived by pregnant and parenting youth. So really interesting about like teen parents, right? Bullies and blackmail, finding homophobia in closet and teen TV. So media time use among adolescents and young adults, analysis of differences. So you can see there's a lot of information. Again, as you narrow things, I would really recommend starting with CQ Researcher or Issues and Controversies. And then if you're not getting enough information there to fully flesh out your argument, I would move to EBSCO for this assignment. Now, when you get into English 102, you're going to do a little bit more in-depth research. And so you might want to start with EBSCO once you have your topic. For other classes, history, political science, biology, any kind of other classes where you have a writing assignment, you might want to start with EBSCO. All right, so back to my library guide. Hold on just a second, we'll go this way. So back to my library guide. You can see here, again, there's a lot of information. Once you kind of peruse your database options, you can keep scrolling down. Again, it tells you a little bit about EBSCO and JSTOR versus CQ Researcher and Issues and Controversies, beginning, research, coming up with ideas, etc. Once you narrow your ideas and you want some really good, solid articles, that's where I'd go here. So I want to just walk through these tips with you real quick in case you don't have the time to read them. Make sure that you avoid pre-formed conclusions about your issue. Never walk into something and saying, I believe this. Now you might lean one way or another, but you should always remain open, because as you research, you might find information that startles you or makes you think, huh. For example, recycling. Recycling is an issue that people always just kind of assume like, oh, recycling is good for the environment. But recycling some materials actually costs more in terms of energy, in terms of potential pollution into the environment, then it might be worth. So going into that with an open mind, thinking, okay, what are the best ways to recycle? Is it always best for the environment? That's a much more positive way, and you're going to end up with a better paper. Number 2 says, so what to do? Make sure that you examine data, facts, and all opposing viewpoints really carefully, okay? It's really important that you understand the whole parts, or all the parts that make up the whole of the issue. You want to make sure that you understand, what do others say? Why do they believe that? Okay, make sure you understand all perspectives. Then you want to set aside any kind of conclusions that you have. try to distance yourself from any kind of social, cultural, historical, political, or other opinions that you might have previously. Really just try to push yourself away from the issue. This is where I kind of suggest that students not pick a topic that they're super passionate about, because if you're way too passionate about something, you have a tendency of being unable to separate yourself. Now, you don't want something that you're uninterested in. You want a topic that you're interested in, but not one that you're so passionate about that you can't kind of set aside your biases. So here are some suggestions for as you are going through your databases. Take good notes. Identify important quotes. You might want to write these down. Make sure that you're always marking where you find information from, because as you go back and you are ready to actually write your paper, you'll have to identify your source when you use this evidence. So knowing where you got that information from is really important. Look for telling analogies. So an analogy is a kind of description where you compare something to something else. So look and see if there's good analogies so you understand the topic better. Look for relevant examples. Do they give good examples? Do they have good evidence? Again, make sure that you're always writing down those citations so that when you write, you can make sure that you develop those correct citations. Make sure that you're keeping a works cited page. So every time that you find an article, make that works cited entry. It should always be a separate page from the rest of your paper. So adding it at the end of your paper and just kind of keeping that up to date as you research is a really good technique. Remember that your paper should be organized around your central for or against position. So your thesis, your main idea. I believe that reality TV is impacting teens in a negative way because of unrealistic expectations. Very specific, right? That's my against reality TV thesis. And then make sure that you use paragraphs. So individual paragraphs will be organized in order to support your thesis. So while my big idea is reality TV sets unrealistic expectations, I might have a couple different paragraphs talking about different types of expectations to kind of further that example and show what I mean by different unrealistic expectations. So let's see here. This is a really good breakdown. I like that our librarians provided. Elements of the argument paper are facts. This is a huge part of it. They should represent about 75% of your argument. That doesn't mean that 75% of your paper should be other people's quotes. That means that 75% of your paper should be a fact and then you discussing the fact. So it should relate in some way directly back to the fact. Persuasive appeals. Those like ethos, logos, pathos, we learned about that in our rhetorical analysis unit. They should be no more than 25% of the argument. Then you've got modes of paragraph development. So make sure that you're proving, you're arguing. There's several PowerPoints throughout this course that you can access in the modules. So teaching you to analyze, teaching you to compare and contrast, cause and effect. The book also has a lot of different chapters on different elements. So looking at your Back to the Lake copy, that can really help you to develop your ideas in different ways. You can do that through definition, through example, through narrative. There's a reason why we started off with narratives, because I told you in real life, that's what we do. We tell stories. We learn through example. We talk through example. We communicate through example. Good descriptions, compare and contrast, facts, statistics, expert testimony, those persuasive appeals, and then always, always, always discuss at least one opposing viewpoint. You should dedicate at least one paragraph in order to balance your argument. If you do not include that opposing viewpoint, you stand to lose your reader because they wonder why you didn't include any opposing viewpoints. And they maybe don't trust you because you omitted something really important. So make sure that you always discuss the opposing viewpoints. This here is Mr. Neil Siegel. You can click this button and email him. He's put together this great thing. He, well, it says the subject is history. Anybody who has a background in history and political science is an avid writer and reader, which means they can help you so much with writing. He's really great. I've worked with him for, oh goodness, about 8 years at TMCC. Every time I teach class, I work with him. I work with the other librarians as well, but he's very knowledgeable. He's a great librarian here. So click this. He's very, very generously put his cell phone on here since they're not working from there. So you can, if you're one of those people that you just have to explain it, maybe email him or give him a call. That is all I have for you right now. Remember to use this. And again, that link is here on Module 3. So happy writing and good luck getting those argument papers. Don't forget, start with that issues and controversies page. If you don't know what to write about, come here, peruse the ideas, and start here as you brainstorm for ideas. All right, that's all I've got for you today. I hope that you are having a fabulous July, and good luck on those argument papers.